Alrighty, UFC Robert Whitaker versus RDR just took place. Rainer de Ritter, okay, just took place here on July 26th, okay, 2025, and I'm here to give you my breakdown, takeaway from every fight, thoughts and opinions, and my overall prediction score, which, hey, we're back in the win column, baby. Hey, we flipped it, 7-5 this card. That's what I like to see. But as always, I'll probably have the official numbers at the end just because I might make a mistake. Okay, this is initial reaction. This is literally like just after post-fight speech. So with that being said, initial reaction. Let's get into the card. Oh yeah, the first fight was Martin Buday. All right. So Martin Buday versus Marcus Bukaki Buche Focaccia bread here, whatever the fuck his name is. Okay, and I went with Marcus purely because I thought Martin Buday sucked. And it turns out Martin Buday does still suck, okay? But for some reason, he's got one of the best takedown defenses we've ever seen in heavyweight, okay? So, that also, Marcus sucks. I think what we found out is that Martin Buday still sucks. And Marcus over here also fucking sucks, okay? This Bukaki guy, he's fucking... Those entries are terrible. I'm a UFC fan. I'm not, Bella, no one cares. LF, nobody asked. I don't watch all these fucking other fight promotions. But, yeah, Marcus looks like shit in there. It's crazy to see, like, a fit, in shape, like an actual, like, muscled out dude go in there against a fat fuck and lose against a fat fuck. I bet Martin Buday's got the best barbecues on the fucking block, okay? I bet his cookouts, hey, they're a sight to behold. But fight-wise, I think both of these guys just fucking suck, alright? Just cut them both, to be honest with you. No, but seriously, cut Marcus Bukaki. No one fucking cares. Shamil Gaziz's record continues to age like a fine wine against Martin Buday. Okay, so, yeah, it is what it is. Moving on. I'm gonna try to keep it fast, this card, okay? So, Martin Buday versus Marcus Bukeka. Fucking shit fight. Cut both of them. But yeah, I'm gonna try to speed this along because normally I say that ends up being 40 minutes. Let's hope I don't keep that. Moving on, we have Muhammad Yahya versus Steven. Not gonna pronounce that last name because I do not want to accidentally say a certain word. Okay, my colored folk can't say, or shaded folk. I guess I should say because my kinds aren't really colored, if you will. But anyways, Muhammad Yahya versus Steven. Steven broke the record for the most knockdowns in a UFC fight, and oh my god, Muhammad Yahya got his ass whooped. This wasn't like a pity knockdown, like this wasn't like Max Holloway Gaethje knockdown where it's like, oh, he got cracked, he got right back up. Brother, in the first round, Steven landed, I don't know what the numbers were, but it felt like he knocked down Muhammad Yahya 8 times, and they were like switched off knockdowns, okay? It was to the point where I just wanted the ref to stop the fight because Muhammad Yahya took decades off his life in this fight, okay? He got switched off so many times in round 1. He did land back a few times, and Steven kind of fumbled a few finishes here and there. Locked in a rear naked at the literal final second, but was just too late to really do anything with. But the first round, Steven whooped this fucking guy's ass, okay? And... yeah, Muhammad Yahya just sucks. They let him continue fighting, I think because they wanted to witness murder inside that cage, or to say, like, their Abu Dhabian fighters are actually, like, warriors, even though he just got his ass kicked. Okay, so, Muhammad Yahya is not a quitter, but he fights a lot like Matt Chanel, where he doesn't move his fucking head, man. And he'll throw with everything he has, but, he is shit. But he doesn't have quit, I guess, is the takeaway with Muhammad Yahya. Probably cut him. I don't remember who he beat. I think he's beat someone in the UFC, but he fucking sucks. Steven looked good. Didn't look that good, okay? I don't think Steven is looking like a ranked kind of contender here, okay? But, round 1, Steven even was peppering Muhammad Yahya, and you can see this round 2 stoppage, and that's just because the eye got swollen up so bad. I think one of the worst we've ever seen. You could not see his eye whatsoever. Like, he could not open it. That thing was that was a creature growing on the side of his face. Maybe fucking Sean Woodson jumped the cage while we weren't looking, all right? Cameras had it fucking turned, and Sean Woodson laid some eggs, okay? So, we don't know what's going on with Muhammad Yahya. You know, will a Sean Woodson type Geno morph, all right, pop out of Muhammad Yahya's face? Only time will tell. But this fight, both of these guys, not that great. Steven was, like, good, and he's got, like, decent power, but he is open on the feet. He does look like he gets tired a lot, but, you know, he can improve. 6 knockdowns is what they recorded. That's bullshit. That literally should be, like, 9, maybe 11 knockdowns. He did get cracked in round 2, so I can kind of see why a lot of people aren't really going to be putting a lot of stock in Steven. But, yeah, I don't think Steven's that good. Moving on, we have Ibo Aslan versus Billy Elkenna. Now, I said this before the fight. I picked Ibo Aslan. Wrong take, okay. By the way, I picked Steven. I didn't pick Muhammad fucking Yahya. I don't think anyone in the world picked Muhammad Yahya. Anyways, Ibo Aslan. I said this, he's only fought victims, or he's only beat victims, and when he fights against anyone who provides struggle, he struggles, okay? But Billy Elkenna is not a light heavyweight. Like, he's just not. He's welterweight best, and he's middleweight worst, maybe coming off the couch, okay? Don't know why the fuck this guy's taking light heavyweight fights. I'll be honest, I don't think Billy Elkenna won this fight. Ibo Aslan was pressuring him the whole time. This fight was boring as fuck, and that's why I don't mind this decision, because to be honest with you, okay, we need to start putting rules in where if you have a fight like this, like an Ngannou versus Derek Lewis, neither of you get your fucking fight money, okay? You don't get shit, alright? You didn't perform. You didn't put on, like, an entertaining fight, okay? You didn't do shit to try to win the fight. You just sat there staring at each other, laughing, smiling while you guys missed hooks. It was boring, pathetic. Both of these men should be embarrassed, and this is one of these performances where I genuinely wonder, like, bro, there's so many people who can compete in combat sports, man. Like, what the fuck? Bro, like, you could take these YouTubers, bro. You could take, bro, I know Dr. Disrespect, you know, he's been exposed for a lot of things. Bro, Dr. Disrespect would maul Ibo Aslan, alright? He'd probably finish him in round 1. But yeah, both of these men, I think they're both shit. I'll just be honest. Both of them, I think, just require someone to come at them. And when that doesn't happen, it's a staring contest. But just fucking boring. Both of these fights, shitters. Round 1, 2, and 3, all pretty much the same. Billy Elkenna on the back foot, running away. Ibo Aslan missing. Billy Elkenna missing. I guess landing a tappy low kick once or twice. These were not the numbers. There's just fake, fabricated numbers. I don't know what the fuck these numbers are. Moving on, we have Amanda Ribas versus Tabitha Ricci. The coin, alright, if you don't know, I use the coin to pick my women's fights. I don't take them seriously, even though I put them in my total final result as of recent, because, you know, hey, live on the sword, die by the sword, okay? The coin got it wrong. It picked Amanda Ribas. I don't really care. Tabitha Ricci, you know, she elbowed the eye at the end of the day, so it is what it is. It was rigged. But yeah, it was kind of Amanda Ribas, Alex Moronoing her way to, like, a crafty vet sort of round 1, where, like, she was looking good technically and just slightly better than Tabitha Ricci everywhere, except for being held against the cage and just being outmuscled. And then in round 2, Tabitha Ricci literally landed an elbow inside the eye socket. I think it might have broke Amanda Ribas' orbital or something. Or it was just a really bad shot into the eye. But that's why you don't wear fake eyelashes in a fucking mixed martial arts fight. But it's women's MMA. And, you know, the WNBA players already complaining about their fucking pay, okay? So if I gotta see these fucking women start complaining about their pay, we're gonna have a fucking problem in the UFC, okay? It's time to start cutting some of the divisions, alright? And flyweight, as far as I'm concerned, their stocks have risen quite a bit, okay? So it's time to, you know, start chopping out these, non-male fighting divisions, okay? Just saying. Or just have fun with them, you know? Let the thems compete, if you catch my drift. Anyways, yeah, I mean, this fight, it's a women's fight. I don't care. Moving on. Davy Grant versus Damon Blackshear. Phil fucking got it, baby. Hey, who watched my prediction video? I know some of you did. Hey, ooh, hey, you know it. I picked Davy Grant. I said I've been saying Damon Blackshear is too active and too much of a pussy. He's getting beat, and like, not beat in terms of lost the fight, but he's getting beat in areas of a fight where he should be winning, you know? And I didn't say it in my breakdown, but he does kind of like, he's a lot more striking heavy than he is grappling heavy now for some reason. And I think he wants to prove he's the better striker. Damon Blackshear he was at a crossroads here. He either takes the Jared Cannonier route, okay, and he becomes a skillful, prospect, gets to the high level, sticks around for a while, retires, close to the high level, never gonna be champ, right? Or he takes the other route and he becomes Jalen Turner. He becomes maybe not Phil Hawes, because that guy's problem was chin. Who else is dumb? Neil Magny performances. And I think that's the road Damon Blackshear's headed towards. Round 1, dominant grappling, okay? But Davy Grant channeled his ancestors, okay? He took in every Unk skill tree there was, alright? He absorbed every chakra, okay, from all the Unks in the UFC. In round 1, he used the chakra all the way from Jim Miller up at lightweight, and he decided to use it to survive on the ground, okay? He watched that Chase Hooper fight. He knows how to grapple, okay? He used that chakra, used his Sharingan in order to copy that style of surviving on the ground. Round 2 starts up. He starts taking the Cody Gibson, all right, and starts cracking Damon Blackshear. Stops whooping Youngblood's fucking ass, all right? Giving him the spanking he's needed for the past couple years, okay? And, yeah, Damon Blackshear clearly lost the second. And round 1, he did out-grapple Davy Grant, but Davy Grant just, survived. Round 2, Davy Grant was just piecing up Damon Blackshear with the leg kicks, with the jabs, hooks on the inside, cracking Damon Blackshear. 40-year-old Unk cracking Damon Blackshear, as I predicted, okay? We almost had it. Davy Grant just barely missed a head kick, but he was whipping it, okay? He just barely missed a head kick near the end, and I went with a round 2 KO via volume. So, yeah, we got close, okay? But I did pick Davy Grant regardless, and in round 3, hey, he channeled that Wonder Boy savvy, okay? Shin cut wide open. Who the fuck cares? We leg kicking with it. We head kicking with it. We stuffing the takedowns, getting them on. Fucking choking that guy to the ground. That's what I like to see. Davy Grant gets it done. Giga Chad. Hey, lad. Fucking put the beans on the spud, lad, I don't know what parts of England he's from, but, hey, Englishman, that goes down to my heritage, before we came over to Canada and started colonizing. There's my heritage. But, yeah, Davy Grant proving that Unk still got it. And like I said, Crafty vetted his way to a decision because Damon Blackshear is breakable. He will just let fights get out of his sort of realm. Especially if a fighter has a gas tank, which that's something Davy Grant had. Davy Grant's also never been finished on the feet, so I don't know why Damon Blackshear kept on. It felt like Damon was like, I'm just better than you everywhere. I'm going to go for a spinning wheel kick after 3 minutes of doing nothing. I get my highlight. Oh, that didn't work. I'm going to go for a knee up the middle. A little bit of a flying knee. And then it gets blocked as he's trying to go in. Fucking Damon Blackshear performance, And I knew in the build-up, once I heard the commentary being, Damon Blackshear, longest win streak in his career, I was like, yeah, he's cooked. All right, you say that, you jinxed it. All right, Michael Bisping. Also, Paul Felder, Michael Bisping, some of the worst commentary. They're getting Joe Rogan level with how much they fucking yap. Okay? Hey, that's a pretty big insult, I know. But someone had to say it, okay? It's getting bad on commentary. Anyways. Davy Grant wins, and exactly how I say, veteran savvy performance, okay? So I got that pick right. Moving on, Muslim Salikov versus Carlos Leal. And I said this was either going to be, Carlos Leal, he's really utilizing that roid usage properly. Or it's going to be like, Carlos Leal hopped off the cycle a little bit too early in his career. And this is a hopped off the cycle performance. Now I'm not gonna say it's just because Carlos Leal was on roids and might not be on roids because they're testing him a little bit more. Because Muslim Salikov is good, and I did say he is a dangerous old Unk, all right. And this is the year of the Unks, so I should have seen it, but I just couldn't see it coming. But yeah, Muslim Salikov is good. And he still got the strength somehow, but I guess roids don't really help the chin, so Carlos Leal, I don't know. But this was what the fuck do you do with either of these guys? You know what I mean? Carlos Leal's hype's completely crushed. It kind of sucks to see, but I'm not like, whoa, that's crazy, you know? Because Muslim Salikov, you know, he can hit him with that spinning wheel kick type shit, you know? I think Randy Brown was even yapping a little bit about how roids don't help the chin, you know? So he was tweeting that out, and I think that was being posted somewhere. But yeah, Carlos Leal gets fraud checked, gets slumped out cold in the first minute. Yeah, really bad. Really, really bad from Carlos Leal. Very open on the feet. He's like a mini karate style where his head's forward. It's a really weird, like most karate styles, they're like lean back a little bit. Leal was like this with his hands barely in front of his face. Like, brother, why? Like, what the fuck are you doing? But yeah, he got smoked by check hook. I said it was going to be like a spinning wheel kick if he was going to get fraud checked, but, you know, check hooks, good enough to get it done. Muslim Salikov still got it. Moving on, Bryce Mitchell versus Said Nurmagomedov. Bryce Mitchell wins. I picked Said Nurmagomedov. I thought he was going to get it done by finish. To be fair, he nearly did, okay? I thought he was going to do like a spinning wheel kick type performance flying knee, and he knee up the middle in round 1, and I almost got the prediction perfect. But Bryce Mitchell was able to survive, and Said Nurmagomedov, he did really good in round 1, the knee up the middle, got Bryce off of him, got respect that he needed, and pretty much like stopped all the takedowns, did what he needed to do in round 1 to clearly win, and then in round 2 and 3, they were both pretty close. Round 2 was pretty close, mainly because in round 2, Said had like a mounted guillotine on Bryce Mitchell, and he let it go. And I think it's just because he had one arm instead of like both arms, like he wasn't able to really reach, so he kind of abandoned it. But that arm was under the neck, and you could see Bryce like, you know. So maybe that's a questionable decision, but I think this is a performance, and I'll bring this up in another fight on the card. Said Nurmagomedov, skill for skill, is better than Bryce Mitchell. I like Bryce, okay? But he is just heart and grit, and that's it, all right? He's like the Nate the Trains. He's like, who's another guy who's just grit? Like Marvin Vettori earlier in Marvin's career. You know, they are just grit. That's what they are. They're good everywhere, not great anywhere. But the grit allows them to get past people they're not supposed to be beating. So Bryce Mitchell did good in the grappling exchanges in round 2 and 3, albeit they were very close. Said just kept on trying to aura farm a little too much as the rounds got later on, and he would go for like a spinning elbow near the end of round 2 in a very like 50-50 round, and then get taken down. It's like, ooh, yeah, it's probably Bryce Mitchell's round now, you know. But if he did land the spinning elbow, probably would have been Said's round, because that would have like done enough damage, you know. And Bryce's nose was cut in round 2, and Said's face was like pretty fucking polished by the end of round 2. His hair was just a little fuzzled. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty close in round 2. I thought they were gonna rob him, and then in round 3, Bryce Mitchell, I think, had a bit more of a clear round for him, just because Bryce had a solid, I want to say like 3 minutes in the clinch / ground control. He did get reversed at some points, but he was able to get the back, and he was able to ride out the back for a long period of time. There's that one point where Said was sort of putting his foot in the cage and trying to like flip around. So, I mean, I'm okay with the Bryce Mitchell win purely because Said tried cheating because he wasn't happy that he was getting laid on. Who's going to tell him that he's a Nurmagomedov? Who's going to tell him that's what their bloodline fucking does? Because every time Bryce was on top of him doing nothing, and I do mean nothing, like Bryce would just hold him in a failing arm triangle position or something, or he'd be on side control just holding him, and Said would be like, hey, brother, get him off, brother. Who the fuck do you think you are? Like, this is what you do, okay? And he's outdoing what you guys are known to do. All right, and you're complaining that they're not separating? Come on, bro. But, yeah, Bryce Mitchell got it done. Very, very close fight. I think there's a decent argument Said won this. Said does get fucked over from the scorecards, to be fair. So, if it did go to decision, it was always going to be, like, questionable for Said, because I can't remember the last clear Said decision that he's had. But, yeah, Bryce gets it done. Good for Bryce. Moving on, main card time. We have Nikita Krylov versus the real Anthony Smith. The Anthony Smith who fucking went to the cave, all right, broke his beak and came back a new man, all right. Advice from Brian Ortega, all right. Sometimes the eagle just needs to smash his beak to grow it, you know, to compete with these young bucks. And hey, that's what Anthony Smith did, and now he's here, all right, for the rematch with Krylov. Smokes him in the rematch. Bro, this looks like the whole time, every time I see Bogdan fight, I just think he's like a Russian escaping prison in like a Call of Duty Black Ops 1 campaign. Rule number 1, take the keys! And he's just fucking running down officers, and Krylov was out there looking like an officer. Yeah. It was an interesting performance. But yeah, Krylov just don't got it. I don't know what happened. This guy just aged like 10 years within the 2 that he's been fighting. Very weird stuff. He switched up the flag on his Tapology, or his like fucking fight, whatever it is called, when he walks out and it shows up the flag. Switched up his flag, and he's lost ever since then. Yeah, Krylov just gets smoked. I don't know what, like, his kicks look like he's never kicked before, and his punches look like he's scared of receiving anything after he punches, you know. So it's very weird from Krylov. I've yet to really watch a Krylov win. I think I've seen him beat Ryan Spann, but that's Ryan fucking Spann. But yeah, Bogdan Guskov got this done by being the real Anthony Smith, you know, following Rule 1 through whatever the fuck they're called, or Step 1, whatever the fuck it's called in the Black Ops 1 campaign. Take the keys! Fucking running down Krylov, fucking smokes him. But yeah. I thought this was a pretty late stoppage. I thought when he got put down, I thought the ref should have stepped in, because I thought we were about to see a death, okay? Krylov was getting his ass whooped, but it is what it is. Bogdan Guskov gets it done. We got to see a lot of his corner work with, what's his name? Walter Walker. I think there was another guy there, I can't remember, but regardless, great win from Bogdan Guskov, you know? It's crazy for me, because Bogdan's one of these guys, like a Bruno Ferreira and like a few other guys, where a Lerone Murphy, where it's just like, I am a newer fan, right? I've only been watching for about 3 years. I watched Bogdan's debut, and now I'm watching him be top 10 in light heavyweight. I'm like, holy shit, we did it, you know what I mean? So, Bogdan gets it done, sick win, we move on. Asu Amabayev versus Jose Ochoa. And I did say this was going to be this was vintage Asu Amabayev, you know? This is flyweight Merab Dvalishvili with no striking, okay? And yeah, he just wings overhand rights, he goes for the takedowns, and he's okay with looking like shit. You know, he's okay looking uncomfortable, he's okay looking like a fucking crotch sniffer, you know? He's completely fine looking like that. And that's how Asu Amabayev fights. But I do think when I was watching Jacob, the Freckled Salamander from We Want Picks, shout out to that channel's sick. If you're looking for bets, definitely follow them. I'm not really a betting guy, okay? Even though I did win money on RDR. Hey, put $10 on it. That's what we like to see. We'll get to it. But, yeah, also Amabayev versus Jose Ochoa. Jacob said it the best, the Freckled Salamander. He said Jose was going to look like he won the fight, but they're going to give the score to Asu Amabayev, and that's kind of what this fight was. Damage-wise, Jose did more, but it's one of those things where you do have to look at a pace, you know? Like, Asu was bringing the pace. Asu did have way more control time. Asu's strikes were kind of close, at least when they were on the ground. You know, he was landing big shots in moments. It wasn't just Asu getting, like, what was it, like, I don't know, 3 minutes, 4 minutes of control time each round. You know, round 1 was very clear in Asu round. Round 2, I thought was a pretty close round. But I think I gave it to Jose Ochoa because he did, I want to say knock down Asu Amabayev, or like he flipped them off of him, and then he was landing big shots, and it looked like Asu was like, ooh, you know, pretty scared on the ground. But that's just how he looks, so it's kind of hard to tell what's really affecting him, and if it's like just how he reacts to strikes. But Jose Ochoa, he is good. He just took this way too early in his career, all right? You're not Joshua Van, okay? Pipe down, go back to the B-Leagues. All right, fight some of these bums at flyweight, okay? You know, maybe get lucky when you fight a Jimmy Flick or a Matt Chanel for a ranking position, okay? But leave some of the top dogs to fight amongst themselves and then get the scraps once Asu Amabayev's like 35, 36. You know, Asu's like just barely past prime. Gotta wait a little bit. Asu Amabayev also called out Joshua Van, which I think would be a sick fight. Joshua Van should fight for the title, but you know, if Joshua Van does lose, also Mobile versus Joshua Van would be sick. But yeah. Overall, I thought it was a pretty clear 2-1 Asu Omabayev, pretty much as I predicted, got it perfect. Moving on, Charbullet versus Marc-Andre Barriault. Pretty sick fight, okay? I was not expecting this fight to be as good as it was. I swept the main card, by the way. I just want to get that out of here, okay? This might be the first time I cleaned this whole card, the whole main card. I got everything perfect, okay? I got typology receipts, okay? I had round 2 KO, but I said, you know, could happen in round 1. With Bogdan Guskov, so this wasn't like mint perfect, but I got that pretty good. Bogdan was an underdog. I got the Asu pick. That one was a pick'em. Also decision 29-28, but I feel like if you're an Asu fan, you know how Asu fights. This one I got right. Like the other two we'll get into, I got perfect. I swept the main card. I don't think I've ever done it before, so book it down in the history books, boys. But anyway, Charbullet versus Marc-Andre Barriault. Hey, leave it to the Canadian to break some of those fucking Cliff Dwellers' noses, okay? Hey, when you need the shock troopers in the next war, you know who to call. Undefeated in wars, baby. Hey, that's us Canadians, baby. But we did end up losing this battle, okay? We may have lost this battle, okay? But, you know, alright? Let's just say when the war happens, we know who's coming back alive, okay? But yeah, round 1 was a pretty okay-ish back and forth until it got to a clinch fest. Marc-Andre Barriault initiating a lot of the clinches. I'll be honest. Maybe it's a hot take. Round 1 is a pretty arguable round for Marc-Andre Barriault. I picked Charbullet. Maybe I'm biased because I'm Canadian. Okay, but I didn't think Marc-Andre Barriault had a fucking chance against Charbullet basically anywhere. And round 2, oh my god, did he fucking bring it, okay? There was moments where Charbullet was, like, getting a little too calm, collected, and starting to get in his flow state, and Mark fucking lands that overhand, I want to say it was an overhand left, could have been an overhand right, I think it was an overhand left, though. He landed it, and I swear to god, Charbullet looked, in that moment, where he got, where he got stung, you know, gum shield hanging out and shit, he looked like that ugly... like the ugly kid. I don't know if it's a witch or a kid. Whatever the fuck from that Scooby-Doo scary movie. Anyone remember that? Frankenstein, that fucking... it kind of looked like that, like... Hey, you guys! From the Goonies. Man. Fucking... yeah, that was not... that picture, I can imagine Charbullet haters just screenshotting his image, getting hit by that left hand, and being like, yeah, that is the ugliest man on fucking planet, okay? That is not Charbullet's brightest moment, but, I thought, bro, I thought it was really close, and while Mark did look like he was quitting towards the end of round 2, that was a bloody scrap. Mark had a lot more control time pushing Char against the cage, and he did break his fucking nose. Like, that nose was sideways. Like, that was one of the worst nose breaks. Could be because of the rest of the face not being so, you know, pretty. Okay, just saying. Alright, but that was like a Mike Perry level nose break. That, like, his nostril was on the other side of his fucking face. So that was a rough one to see. And it was, like, disgusting to look at. But Mark landed really big. It was a bloody scrap. Round 3 comes around, and Mark just didn't have enough to really, like, pressure anything. But Charbullet didn't have enough to, like, finish anything either. You know? So I think Charbullet, he kind of did get, like... if he was to fight Joe Pyfer before this fight, I'd be like, it's probably like a Charbullet, like close 30-27. Like every round being close. I don't agree with this 30-27. I think this fight was pretty close, 29-28. And I think round 1's arguable. Round 2, you maybe give to Charbullet, but also an arguable Mark round. And round 3, I think, is a clear Charbullet round. But I do think, like, Joe Pyfer probably sleeps Shara Putin Nurmagomedov, okay? And I do think, or, sorry, Magomedov, not Nurmagomedov, my bad. Anyways, yeah, I do think, like, Joe Pyfer, Bruno Ferreira, my boy, alright, Brian Battle, okay? He's coming back to middleweight to make his run, alright? These type of names, I think, whoop Charbullet here. You know, Shara's too... oh, my opponent's a punching bag. Let me just keep on punching him. And he's too, like, hands low while he's kicking. He's like a better Yair Rodriguez at middleweight. But not like that good. You know, there's moments where he gets like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fucking kill this guy, and then it'll be like that for 15 seconds, and then like okay, let me get my bearings. Ooh yeah, fucking nice body kick. Ooh, leg kick. Yeah, you're not gonna be able. Okay, give me a minute here. Give me a minute here. You know, my eyes on cooldown. Let it reset. Let it reset. Okay, now I can see. Let's go. You know, he's one of these cooldown fighters where, you know, his debut was a little entertaining in terms of him being active. He's becoming a lot less active as he fights. But yeah, sick fight. Moving on. Peter Yan versus Marcus McGee. I picked Peter Yan, 29-28, 30-27. I thought Marcus McGee just didn't have it in him to finish Peter Yan. And that's kind of what it was. You know, Peter Yan turned a little bit into his Russian heritage with his knees and holding his opponent to the fence in round 3. But overall, vintage Peter Yan went in there, lost the first round. Second round, very clear. Third round, very clear Peter Yan, and just outworked his opponent, outdamaged him. And all the striking numbers here, like you'll see Peter Yan's total strikes. After these numbers that Marcus landed, were on the guard of Peter Yan, didn't really do anything. But yeah, vintage Peter Yan, great Peter Yan performance. We move on to Robert, the Creature Slayer, versus the one true creature, Reiner de Ritter, okay? This fight was fucking close. I thought it was 4-1 RDR. Just gonna keep it a buck, okay? Round 1 was a Robert round, okay? I thought Robert was looking like, okay, he's about to fraud check this Unk, because RDR, every time he got hit by something, he did not take damage well, okay? But I think that's, like, he's like an Asu Amabayev fighter, where that's kind of how it looks. You know, he's okay with being in these uncomfortable positions. He's okay with looking ugly on the feet, looking like he's about to get knocked out, even though he's not. You know, doing that weird head movement shit, you know? RDR style, but every single time Robert landed, it was like, yeah, Reiner, clean it up, man. What the fuck is this? You know, you didn't just hatch from your egg, okay? But yeah, the Xenomorph survived through round 1, did pretty okay, landed some nice investment knees over the course of round 1. He might be pound for pound best knee user in the UFC, okay? This guy is fucking damage stat is allocated purely to his knees, all right? And it was just looking like Robert was... It looked like Robert was having success, but it was one of those things where it's like, damn, RDR is much bigger than Robert. And then round 2 came around, and RDR started finding those knees better. He started getting the clinch a little bit better. Now, he didn't really get a takedown going. There was one point where he literally picked up... he picked up Robert's leg, like his lead leg. I want to say his left leg. And then he reached down while having that leg and picked up the other leg to take down Robert Whittaker. Very freaky takedown, but that's what happens when you're, you know, part of the Sean Woodson family, if you catch my drift, you know. But yeah, that's what happens when Alien Romulus lands on the planet, okay? So Reiner de Ritter does pretty well in round 2 to get takedowns going, get the clinch going, get those knees. He landed so many clean fucking knees. Round 3 starts off, and he beats the living shit out of Robert Whittaker for that first minute. Robert's on the back, like, running away, sort of like a DDP, trying to finish him performance, you know? Where, like, Robert's, like, jaw, he's getting dropped, and he's, like, oh, bleeding out of the mouth, everything like that. And then RDR goes in for a knee, gets clipped by one of the cleanest right hands I think I've ever seen Robert the Creature Slayer land. And you can see the spit go out of RDR's mouth, and he's going down, and it's like, oh my god, he's about to get knocked out. And then somehow it activates that second health bar he's been waiting on, and the boss fight continues, and he decides to hold on to dear life while he's regenerating that HP. And as soon as he's at full HP, he stands back up. Robert, I don't think, had enough gas in the tank to continue chasing it. Was a finishing sequence, but let's not pretend Robert wasn't getting his ass kicked before the finishing sequence, okay, in round 3. And then as the fight progressed, Reiner de Ritter got the clinches, got the takedown, started beating on Robert Whittaker, got top control, had top control for like 2 minutes or something like that, landing elbows and shit, like nice little punches in the clinch. That's one thing about RDR. He is like a grappler at heart, like he's one of these jiu-jitsu nerds, but he is an active fighter. He's more like... He's less like an Aljo and more like a Mozavar Evloev, if you get my drift, in terms of style of fighting. In terms of, like, being active when they're on the ground and shit. But round 3, near the end of round 3, RDR ends up, on top. Robert looks broken. He looks like he's about to quit. He's in the corner like, oh, fuck, what did I just do? But, activating that second health bar is scary when you do it to RDR. But it was a close round. I understand why people are like, well, Robert almost finished the fight. RDR almost finished that fight. And then whooped his... Like, RDR lost 30 seconds of round 3 and was winning 4 minutes and 30 seconds of round 3. Bloodying up. Painting Picasso on Robert's fucking face. Okay? Like, let's not get too overzealous here. So, I thought it was 2-1 RDR. But I get maybe the judges could have scored it 2-1 Robert Whittaker because Abu Dhabi loves Robert Whittaker. Round 4 happens. A little bit more of a clear RDR round. RDR looks tired. Robert looks tired. Robert looks like he's just not able to really find that I need to kill this guy now moment. And he's more or less like survive, tap, tap. But it's so hard to play that survive, tap, tap game. Like, Jared Cannonier can get away with that against like Marvin Vettori and shit like that. You can't do that against genetic freaks that are 4 inches taller than you. Like, fucking feels like double your reach, like... A freakazoid like the Xenomorph RDR is, he's just able to fucking play that tappy game all day, and that's where he wants it. So he's landing those nice knees, and he was doing everything he needed to do, getting the clinches. And round 5 was more or less the same. Not really too much else happening other than a few moments of Robert Whittaker getting like a second wind for about 10 seconds, and then being back on cooldown, needing to wait for the action skill to come back up. Never really came back up. And he wasn't able to find that blow, and RDR wins. I think it was a split 3-2. I personally think it was 4-1 RDR. I get why people say 3-2. And in my opinion, it'll be a 4-1 remembered as an RDR big W. But this is really good to see. Robert still has it. I don't want him to retire. I just think Robert needs to fight not genetic freaks, okay? I want Robert to fight like a... Yikes. I mean, he's kind of fought everyone, huh? At middleweight. Imavov off a loss. I don't mind that, stuff like that. Or like Kyle Brahalio off a loss. I don't mind either of those, So wait for that fight to happen if I'm Robert Whittaker. Take the time off you need. RDR, brother, you got into the UFC 8 months ago. You're a #1 contender. Brother, hey, sit back in that fucking holiday chair, okay? All right, and just watch the division play out, all right, and pick your moment to strike. Wait for them to walk across your web, all right, and then take your moment to strike if I'm RDR. But this was interesting to see. I didn't know if RDR was a 5-rounder type of dude, but he is, I didn't think it'd be possible. He is one of these guys where... the genetic advantage is there. If he wasn't a genetic freak, being 6'4", having that reach he has at middleweight, it'd be a problem, and he would probably get smoked by a lot of guys. But he does play his, like, fucking Alien Romulus ass style out pretty well. So, yeah, happy to see this fight. I like Whittaker, but at this point, it's just like you kind of expect Whittaker to not show up when there's too much pressure on him. And it's one of those, like, oh, it's a big moment when it is. Like when he fought Ikram. But yeah, good fight from both men. I can't wait to see their next fights. I hope both of them stick around, okay? And RDR is somehow older than Robert Whittaker. So even though I'm saying take some time off, okay? Let's not take more than a year off. But you got here 8 months ago. You're already, like, in line for a championship title or fucking title shot, okay? So... let's chill out, RDR, okay? Let's relax. Let's recover up, okay? Let's go back to the incubation chamber and start healing up, okay? So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Got to the 40-minute mark, kind of. Tried to speedrun as best I could. It was a pretty big card. But, yeah, with all that being said, that's my review of everything for UFC Robert Whittaker versus RDR. I want to thank you all for making it to the end of the video. And, as always, I hope you have a good day.